Hi, it's Val with Living Divine. If you are new to my channel, welcome. And if you've been here before, well, welcome back. So you guys, I thought about a quick tip I can give you guys in reference to if you're trying to go into business. And one of the things that happened to me when prior to Ron and I being approved for starting this franchise, was that we had this really big business meeting. So the franchisors ultimately have to approve whether they think we're appropriate, whoever they welcome into their franchise, whether they think you're going to uphold their company, if you're, good to back up in reference to your character, all of that other stuff. So they actually did an interview with us, but also they tried to woo us, like in case they liked us, they wanted to woo us to really want to join into your franchise. And one of the reasons they try to woo you is because you're spending an unbelievable amount of money to be a part of their franchise, okay? So Ron and I go to this meeting, and I'm going to try to throw up some pictures of what we look like going into the meeting, but it was nothing like going into this meeting for me, where there was about maybe 8 men at the table. I was the only woman and I was the only person of color. So I'm holding my own. I'm feeling like bad beat right now, right? I'm like, what? So I'm talking the business talk during this meeting. So in the midst of this meeting, I can tell the meeting's going well. They're vibing with me. They're vibing with Ron. They order this food. They were like, have you ever eaten here? Well, we had eaten there prior, which is what made us think about actually being a part or owning this franchise, trying to own a franchise, because I tried a chicken and waffles that I really liked. And I'm not really a fan of chicken and waffles, I'm going to tell you that. But I really liked their chicken and waffles. So I was like, oh, this is a nice little twist. Plus, they have alcohol that you can drink starting at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's like, what? It reminded me of France. I get chicken and waffles and a mimosa, or chicken and waffles and a Bellini, or whatever the situation is. I thought that was just the coolest little idea, and it closed at like 3 o'clock. So I really loved this franchise. However, I had not tasted all of the food on their menu. So they said, well, let's bring out some food so you guys can taste. So they proceeded to bring out about 20 plus dishes of food. So I done told you I was a foodie many, many times. And I'm a little hungry right now, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to stay, keep my business face on. I'm going to press through this meeting, get a little sample, because literally they brought all this food out for us to sample a little bit, right? So they bring this food out and they said, okay, so try the shrimp and grits. I'm like, no, I don't really, care for shrimp and grits too much. I went to school in Louisiana. I went to college in Louisiana. Shrimp and grits were all over the place. To me, mentally, it just does not sound like it goes together. And don't come from me. It just did not sound like it goes together. So realistically, I had never tried shrimp and grits. I just assumed that I did not like it. So they were like, okay, so try a little bit of the shrimp and grits and then move on. So they had all these dishes, on the table. I'm like, okay, so as much as I'm a foodie, I really like kind of plain food. I just like what I like, in abundance of the plain food, but I really don't like super fancy food. So it had all this fancy food that kind of remind me of they have baguettes and chicken, chicken and waffles, of course, shrimp and grits. They had salads with shrimp and salmon. And oh my God, they had all this stuff that was really, really fancy. And I'm like, okay. So I tried the shrimp and grits. What did I do that for? When I tell you, I sat there and my mouth was like, so they kept talking, right? So they were talking to Ron and they were asking me questions. I don't even know if I answered the questions correctly, because the whole time I'm sitting there like, so y'all just gonna let those shrimp and grits get cold on the table? Like, what does that mean, a sample? Y'all got 20 dishes here. A sample of, I'm thinking this is a free-for-all. We're going to eat, but I had to keep myself in check, right? This is a business meeting. We're trying to get approved for this franchise. But the whole time, I'm sitting there looking at these shrimp and grits. Were amazing, amazing. Now, I'm going to just tell you right now, once the restaurant opens, I will push the shrimp and grits because I fell in love with them. They're a little bit spicy, but I like spicy. They're kind of Cajun-y shrimp and grits, but they are amazing. So I'm sitting there and they're talking and they're asking me questions. Oh yes, we're going to do that. And tell me about your business plan. I heard no response. They were talking. The whole time my mind was, I know y'all see the butter in that shrimp and grits. You know how butter starts getting cold and it gets like hard, kind of yellow. I'm thinking, I know y'all see that, right? Like the shrimp and grits just gonna sit here, or Then they had these blueberry muffins. They had blueberry sauce on top. Okay, so a foodie should never go to a business meeting with food hungry. I sit there. I held my own. Y'all have been proud of me. I was like, do what you do, man. Just do what you do. But I'm going to tell you, my stomach was saying something different. Like, we just not going to leave this food here, right? We're going to buy onto it, but we just not going to leave this food right here on the table. So, they're talking. At some point, it was like, blah, 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 to me. Ron's talking to them. They're talking to me. I'm saying words. I hope the words correspond with the questions. Because when I tell you, I literally was looking around the table like this. Like, all I could think of was, what you going to do with all this food? Because, again, you can't, these 20 dishes, these men have already tried. They're the owners. They're the managers. So they'd already tried all these dishes. So they brought all that food for me and Ron. And Val not wanting to disappoint. I need to figure out how we're going to deal with this food. So we're talking, we continue to talk in this meeting. And finally, the guy was like, oh my God, I love you guys. If you're in it, we're in it. We would love to be a part of our team. So they were like, you go home and think about it. So I couldn't even get to that point. I couldn't even get to the point of thinking about it because I'm still trying to figure out, y'all got all this food on this table. I don't want to lick it like, I didn't want to do that, right? So I'm sitting there still trying to be cute, but I'm hungry. And they got all this food. So finally the guy says, you know what we're going to do? We're going to box all this up, let you guys think about whether y'all want to be a part of this franchise or not. And we're going to let you guys take this home. Winner! I was so excited. But I have to play it off. I was like, well, you know what? We can't throw away food. We'll go ahead and take it home. We can't throw it away. We will think about, the discussion, and we'll get back with you. And the reality is I have very little of discussion. After the shrimp and grits, and I found out they serve alcohol in the morning, I was through. I was on it, baby. I was on the team. I don't know what Ron thought, but Val was, let's do this. We can eat breakfast and drink wine, or we can get mimosas and bellinis. I'm through. So I'm going to say this to say that I had to recap all that information with Ron the next day. After I ate the food that they sent home or whatever, I had to recap that. And the food is amazing, by the way. It's absolutely amazing. But I had to recap all that information. So just FYI, if you go to a business meeting, if you are truly a foodie, and if you're hungry, grab something to eat before you go there, because it's a good chance they're going to set out food. That's not what I expected. I actually expected us, we met at the restaurant, but I expected us to kind of go into an office or something and have these discussions, because we're talking about large amounts of money, right? I was not expecting to sit at the table and they bring out the whole menu and they say, this is all yours, sample it and tell us what you think. So this is just kind of a heads up that if you are looking at a franchise, get something to eat before you go have these discussions. Get ready for the discussion, because I can't tell you that I would have made an accurate, informed decision at that meeting, because literally after I ate the shrimp and grits, that is all I thought about for the rest of that meeting. But anyway, let me know if you have any questions. I just thought about this quick, just kind of tip for you guys that are going into business. If you're about to go to a business meeting, or even if you're not doing a franchise and you're going to a business meeting, maybe eat a little something so you're not sitting there and your stomach's growling, because my stomach was making all kind of noises. But I just make sounds, to cover it. When my stomach made noise, you can make sounds to cover that up. But just a tip, just kind of FYI, if you have any questions, let me know. Leave them in the comment section and I'll respond as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.